Welcome to The Full Experience. This is an experiment in television appreciation. We watch but 4 episodes of a series. We watch its first episode, we watch its last episode, and in between, we watch its highest rated on IMDb and its lowest rated on IMDb to see if we get a sense of what that series was entirely about. We are in the middle of watching Yellowstone. This week, we are watching the lowest rated episode of Yellowstone by IMDb rating called Desire is All You Need. Season 5, episode 9, which first aired November 10th, 2024. It was sort of a mid-season premiere. They broke season 5 into 2 halves, and this is the return of the second half of season 5, which is the last episode of Yellowstone, or the last season of Yellowstone. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Hey, man. So one of the best parts about The Full Experience is kind of trying to puzzle out why an episode was low rated. Sometimes it is a structural thing. For example, I think the first example that we ran across was in The West Wing. There was a fine standalone episode. It was just on a minor character in a format that was kind of un-West Wing-like. Other times it's a clip show, and because it's a retread, people are like, boo. But meanwhile, that's great for The Full Experience because all those clips bring you up to speed and give you the ability to fake like you watched the show. This is groundbreaking, Tom, because, and then other times we see low ratings because they don't pay off like big questions or whatever. But I believe that this is the first time we've encountered a lowest rated show that was so boring. Oh my God, Tom. It was awful. It was miserable. What was that?
This was quite the slow episode. And it's the lowest ranked at 7.0.
I can't believe what is wrong with people that they gave it a 7.0?
I think this episode is an example of an episode that does not work for The Full Experience because it is almost entirely dependent on other episodes to hit. Well, I understood what was happening. It took me a while to wrap my head around, like, really? They got rid of Kevin Costner like halfway through season 5? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's a bold move. And I was tying together like, okay, there's a Archbishop of Canterbury thing going on where Jamie said, won't you rid me of my troublesome dad? And she's like, what? You told me to get rid of him. So none of that was lost on me. I wasn't ever confused. But the emotional punch of this is all coming from having built up tension from other episodes I didn't watch.
Well, and on top of that, it felt like, number one, the acting was largely... There was some poor actors. I assume there was a lot of cameos happening.
Wait, what do you think was one of an example of poor acting that you saw?
I'm not entirely sure what it was, Tom, but there was one character who said everything flat. It was very clear that he was being fed his lines. Right before he said every word, he said a bunch of cowboy stuff, and every sentence.
You're talking about the Spurs maker, right?
No. Well, him, yes, but also some other dude. I couldn't.
Oh,
tell.
I don't know who you're talking about then, because
it was the guy who drove down to Texas. I assume. Tom, what was that whole episode?
I don't know why we had to drive to Texas in real time either. Like,
I didn't like it, Tom.
I loved that we took forever to get to Texas, to the Panhandle, by the way. He didn't even go that deep.
Yeah, it doesn't.
He went north of Amarillo, and then he just flew the helicopter back to surprise his wife.
And then they were like, did you know that there are scorpions in Texas? Watch, here's a guy who gets bit. Drama. Did that salve work? You know, it did. Wow, what a scene. I was riveted, Tom.
Yeah, I was on the edge of my seat.
And character development.
Especially because it was clear that no one was concerned that he got bit by that scorpion. I'm like, oh, it must be just a run-of-the-mill scorpion then. Things I liked, and the reason I was asking you if you met the guy who made the Spurs, that was Billy Clapper, who is no longer with us. He is well known in that community. for his craftsmanship. He made bits and spurs for folks around the world for most of his life. And I was going to get a little up in your grill if that's who you were after, because I'm like, that's how that guy talks in real life. I looked at that. I'm like, that's Bill Posh. Bill Posh ran Posh's Boots in Greenville, Illinois. And I bought boots from him when I was a kid. I wish I still had those boots because they were amazing. He made them himself. He also sold other boots as well, but he also made boots. And that's exactly how Bill Posh talked. He said it in a more Southern Illinois accent than a Texas accent, but otherwise it was pretty much the same guy. So I kind of loved that one. But if you're talking about somebody else, then yeah, I'll let you off the hook.
I was talking about the guy who had the ranch that they delivered the cattle to, or the horses
the guy,
to.
yeah. I think what's bothering you about him is he's what Texans sound like to people who don't live in Texas.
I guess, okay.
And you know that
was?
people who sound like him don't talk like that. Does that make sense?
So on the surface, Yellowstone, the first 2 episodes that we watched, it worked because it worked at a surface level of gorgeous, incredible cinematography, of classic westward expansion Americana visuals. It's just a treat. And it had all the buttery artifacts of excellent cinematography here. But by God, there was nothing underneath. There was no machinations. There was no grinding of gears that I could only guess how fine the wheels were turning on.
Well, and I think, again,
it was shallow. This
is the
shallow.
revelation episode of the mystery. All the grinding of gears was earlier. And then I assume episode 8 finished with a shocking death of Kevin Costner's character.
Sure.
Of Daddy Dutton.
This was them like acknowledging, yes, we're serious.
And this is revealing,
yes,
like,
reals.
this who did it.
Sure.
I don't know. I could be wrong. We might have already known who did it the whole time. I can't really tell, but. Yeah.
But we've seen so many other shows where they have something else to chew on while you're processing. So it's like, I understand that they're like, this is the main meal. Yeah. And I understand that none of this means anything to me. But every other show, so many other shows that we've seen, give you something else to kind of do while you're processing the big chunk of the story.
Yeah.
This one, there was nothing there. There was nothing there. I was insulted.
I wonder if this works better. I'm trying to explain the 7.0. I know this is the lowest rated. I wonder if this works better as a respite for folks. But then that doesn't make sense if this was the comeback episode after a break. You don't need a respite. You're chomping at the bit, right? Amos, save us.
Amos in here.
2 things. One, when I told my wife I was going to watch the lowest rated episode, she knew what episode it was without me having to tell her.
Yeah,
okay. And 2, this is the laziest retrofit I've ever seen in a show. They literally came back from commercial, said 6 weeks ago, showed the lady in the meeting, and then just dropped it. Brian's always talking about trust your audience. They didn't trust us at all on this episode. They spoon-fed us, and then they played airplane with it for 45 minutes while I sat on my couch and wondered why this episode was so damn long.
I suppose we were supposed to be sad about them selling the cows, but I'm not sure.
But which cows? Like all of them, or just some of them?
I don't know.
Down with
whatever ones they were selling to Texas, right, apparently. Like,
yeah. There's so much more that's probably here, but they gave us nothing in this episode. This episode was the biggest nothing burger. The only reason it has a 7 is because there's people that love it and aren't going to rate it.
They just love Yellowstone altogether.
Yeah. And the one scene where at the very end where Beth runs out to Rip or whatever the hell his name is, you know, and she
and
finally breaks
and it's
down.
Entirely out of character for everything I've learned about Beth.
Well, and maybe like that reaction was how she was in the trauma of the first moment, but there was nothing to. It was
also
it was lazy, crappy storytelling.
I also thought the scene where she's when she's doing her like social service, picking up butts and won't stop smoking cigarettes, and that works. And the guy's like, "Why don't we just call it even?" I was like, "Wow,
I thought that was fine. That was the highlight.
That was
of the
super
show.
Lazy. Yep. Like you didn't convince me at all that would have happened. But okay, I guess Beth's out of her social service now. So I don't even know why you needed her to be out of it. Oh, I guess because she was saying I'll come down to Texas. But you know what would have been more Beth? I'm coming to Texas. I don't care about my social service. I'll figure that out when I get back. Like,
I'm gonna, have her lead a parade of
screw
cops
that. Screw them. They can come and get me. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. No, that was again. I think that was just picking up from the prior to the break. They had to, they presented too much in episode 8, I think. And then when they came back to episode 9 after the break, they had to deliver on something, and everything else just fell apart and fell away. The whole going to Texas to take the cattle or the horses or drop a person off or whatever the hell they were doing down there, that just fell away. Beth's social service hours fell away. The whole trusting the audience on how Daddy Dutton got shot, that was just thrown completely out the way. And the only thing they focused on was this reaction Beth had to her father dying, and the whole you don't want to see it.
They have a little bit of Jamie being stunned that his lover killed his dad, and
sure,
there is a bit of a murder mystery too, right? The mystery is not who did it. The mystery is how did they pull it off, right?
Well,
how did they make it so convincing?
But this isn't
wondering,
CSI. This is
I know.
in the previously on, did they show? Was there some big scene that they hung?
There was no
before?
previously on this episode.
Yeah, I didn't get one either. So I guess nobody got one.
I did not.
It was bad, Tom. This is the single most disappointing, lowest rated episode that we've seen in the entire history of
and yet Dale Garner gave us 10 pounds and said bibbity bobbity boo. Thank you, Dale.
This is the best full experience we've ever had.
The worst episode to watch, the best episode to produce.
I was worried that song might go longer when they were sitting around the campfire too, but
oof.
I'm so glad they faded away. Just like let the music play a little bit, and then it was only one vert. Oh man, I would have been so angry. I probably would have stopped it.
The one other thing, we've only watched the 3 episodes. Maybe this is a weakness in the full experience, but by my count, we basically got most of the scenes with the reservation folks in episode 1. And the other 2 episodes, we got like one scene with the guy going, "We're gonna keep fighting. Maybe someday we're gonna fight." And I'm just like, that's still going on in season 5. Like, we barely got that story.
Although gorgeous shot, great shot,
beautiful shot.
That's a pretty lake that they drove out to, and he's holding the plans, and we're like, we drove out here to look at a lake and say, look at this map.
Someday this map will be important. We promise you. Yeah. But today is not that day. Okay. Well, there you go. Yellowstone. We'll be finishing it off next time with the episode Life is a Promise. Season 5, episode 14. This is a longer season too. Most of the seasons were like 9 episodes. This one's 14. So they made sure to tack on an extra 5 episodes for us.
It's 2 seasons. They just
well, it's not enough for 2 seasons, but it's more than 1 season. So yeah, it's nothing.
If we take, you could just trim this episode down to make it interesting, and you would have you would have recovered enough to shove it down into 1 season.
Yeah, that's quite possible. We're going to have to start figuring out what to watch after Yellowstone. So by all means, give us your suggestions, cordkillers@gmail.com. You get these episodes earlier if you're a patron as well. They get posted as soon as Amos is done editing them up. So become a patron at patreon.com/cordkillers. We'll talk to you next time.